Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing fine. Um, Apologize for my absence. I've been a little bit busy working on some projects I have. But, anyways, um, I've also been watching and praying for the election outcome. And it's hard to get the real good information. But I was looking around and I managed to find somebody who uploaded Rudy's Common Sense broadcast or whatever it is. I hadn't really seen it around as I was looking, but I just happened to notice when one guy uploaded it. So he's going to give an update. Actually, I'm not going to show the whole video. I'm going to show part of it where I guess he summarizes or something. And he gets into some serious aspects of it, the investigation. But anyways, apparently, it seems like we have these lawyers who are vying for to be the ones to go down in history to save America. But and I don't know how long that would last anyway. But it used to be we had you know a long time ahead of us. But little have we known that we've already been taken over by the communists. You know, the media was a huge problem in the Brazilian election. They've always been communist ever since the communists tried to take over Brazil, and Brazil became a military dictatorship because people didn't know how to vote. They would just vote whoever promised the most, and they would get the most votes, and of course that would be the communist terrorists who happened to be Lula da Silva and Dilma, the previous two presidents before Bolsonaro. They were the terrorists at the time of the military dictatorship and trying to take over the country, and they ended up being president. Both of them, terrorists, both of them communists. They were both president of Brazil. And Dilma is like an analphabeto, that's illiterate, can't speak right, doesn't even know what she's saying, and still, how could somebody like that be elected? Well, it turns out that it's because of these voting systems. They had the voting machines from Venezuela counting the votes, and they're the same machines, of course, that elected Chavez. They were using in Brazil. Somehow, I guess they got that straightened out, or they checked up on it, or were observing it, and Bolsonaro got elected. Bolsonaro, I guess, a lot of people don't maybe agree with all of his tactics. I haven't been following anything and everything that he does, but I know that he's doing the best he can for the people. And of course, before his time, there was a lot of money laundering, and you know, they were basically using Brazil as a as a as a powerhouse, or as uh, you know the strength of Brazil, the money of Brazil. They were using that to finance communist upstarts around the world, building harbors and airports and infrastructure and whatever they needed in communist upstarts around the world. Brazil was financing that largely, and petroleum companies were involved, and uh, and there was a whole big scenario of money laundering. They call it the car wash, because somehow it was a car wash that was involved. So they call the money laundering scheme as the car wash thing. But anyway, but I haven't been following things since the election because Bolsonaro was elected, and they basically, Lula went to jail, and for some technical thing, side thing, because he had some properties or something that he wasn't supposed to have or something. Not to mention that he, was taking over the government of Brazil. But anyway, so here in the United States, you know, we're not supposed to be a third world country, but we have leftocrats or Democrats that have third world ideologies, and they act like they came from a third world country, half of them. And there's a lot of them born and raised here in inner cities, controlled by Democrats for 100 years or whatever. So, in they've been, of course, cheating for years. I always wondered how, somebody could be voting for somebody like Hillary or voting for somebody like Al Gore. Hello, good morning, Jeremy Martin. How you doing? God bless. So how in the world could somebody be voting for these people? How could somebody vote for Joe Biden? How is that possible? The guy is, over, way, way. He didn't even want to be president. He said, no, 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 I'm not going to be president. No, no. Of course, he had, sense, common sense, at least that much. But they didn't have anybody else. So they basically made him be president. And of course, we have the vice president take over, the Kamala or Kamala or whatever, however you pronounce it. In case anything accidentally happens to Joe Biden, then they still have a backup plan, which might be Plan A in the first place. Yeah, and he didn't campaign. See, that's the thing. They run on the worst platform ever. He didn't even campaign. He says he's going to raise taxes. He's going to confiscate guns. He's going to implement abortion. Everything contrary to what people want, and he's running on that platform. Why? Because he's relying on the election fraud to get him into office, or they. I don't even know if Biden is all there. They are relying on the election fraud. Or like Giuliani says that Biden is making a case for pleading insanity. Hello, Randy. How are you? No, I'm just saying, just telling it like I see it. Just bear with me because I'm telling it like I see it, and I'm gonna feature this video or part of this video by Rudy Giuliani. It's called Common Sense, and because somehow people get opposite views or contrasting views because somebody's listening to one source and somebody else is listening to another source, and you have to have a lot of wisdom to determine what the facts are and who's telling the truth. You have to have a lot of discernment and honesty, of course, as to who's telling the truth. So let me go through. So Rudy did this video. He did 2 segments, and then he smoked a cigar, and then he did this last segment. But it's the last segment. It kind of like maybe reviews some of what he already said, and I thought maybe it would be good to show. You can watch the whole thing if you want. It's you'll be able to see what it is. I'm guessing. So hold on a second. Here we go. I go do a share screen here, if I may, and I will be playing this video. I don't even know what I'm doing here. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna play this video here. There's a Rudy. Let me see. So he smokes a cigar, and then he comes back after the break, and we go ahead and play this.
/ Rudy.
Then he comes back.
Thank you very much for coming back. Now, what are the other logical things to tell you this happened? In the city of Pittsburgh, pick just one now. City of Pittsburgh. There are 17,000 so far provisional ballots. Let me tell you what a provisional ballot is. A provisional ballot is a ballot where mostly, not always, you walk in and you say, I'm Rudy Giuliani, I'm here to vote. Mr. Giuliani, you've already voted. I said, you remember the absentee ballot? You sent it back. No, it's at home. I never sent the absentee ballot back. I always intended to vote. I never sent it back. I'm sorry, Mr. Giuliani. You're right here. It's checked off. You voted. No, I didn't do that. So rather than have a big fight over it, you get to cast a provisional ballot, which almost never counted. Because they never resolve it, never have the time to resolve it. Okay, if that happened 1,000 times or 1,500 times, you'd say, maybe some people forget. How could 17,000 people in Pittsburgh forget that they cast an absentee ballot?
Okay, like I said, that he goes over many other things in this video, but this is kind of like his last segment, and he's just going to like sum it up. And earlier this week, we had the Kraken that came out, and like I said, it seems to be like a conflict of personalities or something that people want to be. They want to be the one to save the country from the the communists or leftists or whatever they are, the big tech, big money, world system, globalist or whatever. So there's a little bit of personality conflict here. There's a whole bunch of people. There's even more people than Rudy Giuliani try to get in the fray to be the ones to save the country from this corruption and fraud. So just this is just one aspect of it, one part of it.
I don't have the numbers yet for the other places. They're higher. It's true in every one of these places. 20,000 in Philadelphia, 10,000 in another place, and 12,000 in another. I mean, not everybody forgets like Biden, 17,000 people in Pittsburgh went to the polls and were told they had already voted and didn't remember it. Or is the more consistent explanation, as a witness in Detroit swore under oath that when they didn't have a person that was registered, or when the person voted for the second or third time, they just assigned it to anybody they had to very quickly. And therefore, there were a lot of these people whose identities had been used to cover the illegal voters, maybe an illegal alien, maybe a person voting for the third time. maybe a person from out of state. So they voted in place of you. And when you went in, you were told you had voted already.
Now, see, Rudy has already dealt with election fraud because he ran some campaigns and he was told that he has to sweep the election, otherwise the that he wouldn't be elected because of election fraud. And so he went in and changed everything, and then he won the election, or he cracked down on the election fraud. So he knows all the little tricks and schemes that there are.
And that 17,000, by the way, is growing. And as we go through these cases, and every single one of them, we're going to have a very, very large number of those ballots, of those provisional ballots. And then let me give you one last one for you to think about and understand as we go through this process, which is laborious and is going to take some time, but it is sure necessary to save our democracy. And that is what we call overvote. This is probably the most telling of all. Now, focus on one city where I have a complete and thorough report. I have much sketchier reports for other cities. By next week, I'll have them all. In the city of Detroit, about 2/3 of the precincts in the city, their vote doesn't compute, which is why the two Republicans didn't vote to certify. And technically and correctly, it hasn't been certified. I think it was like 79%. The vote doesn't compute. And what that mostly means is more people voted than people who are registered in the district. So let's say there are 5,000 people registered in a district. How could 8,000 people vote in that district? And wouldn't those 3,000 additional votes be illegal? Of course.
But it's worse than that, because it's 100 and even more percent, or sometimes 200% or whatever, which is double the amount of the people that are registered.
Of course they are. And why does it happen? Now, let me tell you what the numbers are. They're actually worse than that. The numbers range from about 125% to 350%. What that means simply is that 3.5 times more voters voted than are registered in the district. The reason that happens is all through the pre-voting process, they were constantly assigning phony votes, false votes, like those 100,000 ballots that came in for Biden.
So I would like to know, where is the media? Where is the mainstream media? Where is, all these people that want to fact check, with all this fraud going on in front of their faces? Where are they to expose it or talk about it? And then you realize, well, no, the people that run the media companies, the major media corporations, they don't want people to know what the facts are. That's as simply as it could be stated. They want to keep people in the dark about what the facts are in the election fraud. So they're going through the motions as if Biden's going to be the next president, when he'd be lucky if he's not behind bars.
You think they were real? Those ballots were. They were shot off with the help of machines, and many of them didn't even have anything on the outer envelope, which would make them purely illegal. But then those had to be squared up for some precinct somewhere. These people didn't live in that precinct. They might even exist. So that's why you have 3 times more people voting than are registered in the precinct. In Detroit, we have a fair number of precincts, in which 2 or 3 times more people voted than live in the precinct.
Okay, that's a fact for the media to pick up. You have 2 and 3 times more people voting than what live in the precinct. Okay, and they're saying that where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? They're a bunch of liars. That's all they are.
Even the children.
Even the children.
That would allow you or any sensible, honest person to draw the conclusion that somebody was doing massive cheating.
Duh.
How do you get 3 times more votes than people who are registered?
Okay, so where are these investigative journalists? These non-biased, non-partisan investigative journalists. They don't exist. Because this video here, somebody else uploaded it. It wasn't even from Rudy Giuliani directly. It was somebody else that uploaded the video.
That's the case in Detroit. Studied. Witnesses ready to go on the witness stand to prove it. That's the case in Philadelphia. That's the case in Pittsburgh. That's the case in every one of the cities that I mentioned to you, which I would call Democrat corrupt cities, because they intelligently selected places they own, where they own the sheriff, not the police, the sheriff, who's usually very political. They own the courts. They own the election board completely. They owe their jobs to the party boss. And this didn't happen in neutral places. This didn't happen in rural places. This didn't happen even in suburban places. This didn't happen where it's 50-50 Republican, Democrat, or even 60-40. This happened where it's 75-25, 80-20. If, in fact, the state of New York or the state of Massachusetts or the state of Maryland were up for competitive races, it sure would have gone on in my city. So don't feel like I'm picking on your city. I know about corruption in my city. My first race, I was told I had to win by 50,000 to overcome the Democrat cheating. I was told that by a member of the Liberal Party, not a Republican. And I lost by 30,000. The second time I put $1 million into voter integrity and won. So I know about vote fraud. I know it. I know the techniques, and they used every single one here. And they all got magnified because of the mail-in votes.
So there's multiple methods and lines of voter fraud. And of course, there's direct voter fraud by individuals. And there's also election fraud by the officials. The officials themselves are committing election fraud,
which were absolutely taken advantage of in a conspiracy of tremendous outreach. And I haven't gotten at all to the whole situation of Dominion and how the votes were counted in 27 different states by a machine built by a company that began and continues to be a company that specializes in voter fraud.
Okay, here's where he's going to get into it. I thought he wasn't going to touch on it. He didn't touch on it too much until now, but he's going to touch on the same conspiracy, which is not even a theory anymore, it's an actual fact. And you can verify it if anybody wants to check it out. All you have to do is Google it. But anyways, like I said, the personalities involved, it's like who's coming out with the information first, to be the hero in this election fraud case. So we have the Kraken who is coming out with the same information on the Dominion software, voting machines or whatever. And The only thing that Rudy's not going to mention is the dirty three-letter word that the Kraken mentioned, but but it's basically the same thing here. What's going on? And who knows who's all involved? Who knows? You know.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. A company that specializes in voter fraud. We will discuss that probably in the next episode or the one after in great detail. But I'll give you a little bit of a foretaste of it. The company that counted the ballots in Michigan and most of those states is a company called Dominion. It's a Canadian company. Why are we using a Canadian company to count American votes? Why are we sending American votes out of the United States? But they don't go to Canada. They go to Germany. Now, why do they go to Germany? Because Dominion doesn't count the votes. A company called Smartmatic counts the votes.
Wow.
The company was founded in the early 2000s by two Venezuelans extremely close to Chavez, the dictator of Venezuela. They continue to own the company to this day. They were founded for the specific purpose of fixing elections in Venezuela. They fixed elections in Venezuela. They fixed elections in Argentina. What I am saying to you, go Google it. The press.
Okay, yeah. So, the people in Venezuela and Argentina are going to be in uproar, when all this comes out, and there's going to be problems, with the I don't even who is it? Maduro is still in Venezuela, and whoever is in Argentina that got elected by this voter fraud system, this software system, and it's just beyond me as to how this could happen in the United States, and it's only because of the third world leftist Democrats. And as far as I'm concerned, the Democrat Party should be disbanded because of how corrupt they are, and they should be, all prohibited from participating in elections from here on out.
Is too lazy or too warped or too crooked. Go Google it. It's there. There's a letter from Democrat Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney in 2008 telling you what I just told you. The company is founded by communists who wanted to make sure Chavez and then Maduro were elected regardless of the will of the people. It's a company that was been kicked out of the United States, even kicked out of Chicago. And how did it get back in?
How did it get
back in as a subcontractor to Dominion.
Subcontractor.
And Dominion never disclosed, I imagine, Smartmatic. Or if they did, these governors, like the governor of Michigan.
Kickbacks. You're going to look at the kickbacks.
Hired them to count American votes. We have a Venezuelan company with Venezuelan voter fraud technology counting our vote. And as we are studying the irregularities in the vote, it's becoming quite clear. Been talking too much today. It's becoming quite clear that they interfered with the vote, but that's a matter for another day. So let's conclude on this note. If you just analyze this from the point of view of common sense, it makes common sense that this election was stolen. Trump was ahead in every one of these major states by large margins, particularly in light of the vote that lied ahead, the number of votes that lied ahead, particularly in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan.
And if you're watching the election, you could see that this is true, that Trump was winning all of those states, and then they just shut down which is, you know, totally, every single one of the swing states, every single one of the crucial states, they shut down and flipped the vote.
Every one of them, they were able to they didn't miss one. Every one of them, they were overcome it. Every one. And we're talking about probabilities now. And they had 7 or 8 or 9,000 people coming in, not knowing they had voted, being told they had voted, and saying they didn't, because those were the patsies that we used to assign the false ballots.
Yeah, those are the ones that complained about it, not to mention the ones who didn't even bother or were afraid to say something.
I got a case here. I think like a prosecutor, I got a case here. But there's a lot more than a case here. There's our democracy at stake. What is America if we don't have a free and fair right to vote?
That's right. You have these third world leftocrats trying to overthrow this country that's been a beacon, an example of justice for the world to see. And you have these, I don't know, the people with money that somehow think they want to control the world now. It's like that cartoon that they would wake up every morning and try to figure out how to control the world. So, guess there's people like that.
Not a democracy anymore. These recent Democrats are moving very, very fast towards socialism. And socialism always breeds authoritarianism. You can see it in the dictates that they are giving, almost the way in which they're enjoying telling you can't have Thanksgiving. And if you don't wear a mask, they're going to line you up in the firing squad.
Huh.
Treating a mask violation one way, and the district attorney of Philadelphia lets a robber go free. But a mask guy, oh boy. There's always the emergence of dictatorial attitude and spirit in a communist society, in a socialist society. That's a Freudian slip, huh? But we're getting there. We're moving toward communism. And first thing.
Yeah, of course, in the previous administration, we already were there. And they were doing anything they want because they control the DOJ, they control the judges, they control everything, so they can do anything they want, and they know they are not going to be prosecuted, which we saw was the fact with trying to hold somebody responsible for the spying on Trump and the false accusations against Trump that were proven to be false. And it was all the third world leftocrats behind it and the deep swamp.
They do. To undermine the right to vote. I'm going to leave you with a thought. Company that participated in the undermining of the vote, Smartmatic, which is a Venezuelan company built to cheat for Chavez and Maduro. The chairman of the board was a close friend and business partner. His name is Lord Malik Brown. Very, very distinguished name. Lord Malik Brown. And he is a very close business partner. And he is involved as the number 2 person.
Uh-oh. I was going to say the S word now.
George Soros's biggest organization. George Soros, biggest contributor to the Democratic Party, the biggest contributor to the Black Lives Matter, and the biggest contributor to Antifa. Too many coincidences here, ladies and gentlemen. Too many. What I'm telling you is exceedingly dangerous to the survival of our
That's a
democracy.
connection.
Democrats over the last 4 years have trashed our Constitution so badly. And because the press just covers up what they do.
So the press is complicit. The press is complicit with the corruption of the Democrats. They can't even investigate the fraud themselves, which they're supposed to be investigative journalists that are supposed to be on top of everything before the politicians can get around to doing something. Right? Where are they?
They're destroying our rights. We got to make a stand here. I don't care how much they intimidate us. I don't care how much they threaten us. I don't care if they say we can't get jobs and we're going to lose our reputation. And this is about our country, ladies and gentlemen. It's about the survival of the greatest democracy on earth.
Yeah. So everyone should be able to see that it's a coup attempt, communist takeover attempt. And they had it in their hands. And the only reason why they don't have it now at this moment is because of Donald Trump. And everybody in the majority of states voted for Trump. It's a landslide victory for Trump. Except you would never know it because of all the fraud and the cover-up and the complicit media, which is all big money, big power, big names. And the people that are giving us such a hard time, we can't even tell the truth anymore. We can't even talk, expose the lies of evolution. And, there's no case for evolution. All the facts point to the fact that we have a creator that created everything and expects us to treat each other right with justice, equity, and honesty. But these people, they have other ideas. They've been in the educational system for decades, brainwashing their students into thinking that communism is a thing. And if you listen to the media, you wouldn't even know how bad it is and how big of a threat it is.
They've done to it is outrageous. These people are criminals, and they are worse than a lot of the criminals I've prosecuted before, and they are a lot worse than the common criminals that we put in jail or we let out of jail. These people are trying to take away from us rights that were given to us by God. We're not going to let them do it. We're going to fight, and we're going to fight again, and we're going to continue to fight because we have ultimate faith that a much higher authority is looking over this country.
And the numbers are on our sides because the majority of people voted for Trump in a landslide victory. We are the majority. The people trying to take over and ruin the country are the minority. And all you have to do is throw out all the fraudulent ballots and you'll see who the majority is. It's a landslide victory for Trump. And of course, they've been getting away with voter fraud for ages. They probably had voter fraud in the previous election too. They just weren't able to pull it off. I mean, they did. There was fraud in these cities. But so they stepped it up and really did themselves in this time.
It's guided us forever. And we have great faith that we're not going to have our sacred right to vote taken away from us because that's what's at stake here. So
That's
stay
right.
tuned,
That's right.
because this battle has just begun, and we are going to prevail.
That's right.
Thank you, and God bless
God bless you.
you, and God bless America.
Okay. So, welcome, Matt Bond, Honesty Angel. So, yeah, there's serious fraud going on. I mean, multiple layers of fraud. I mean, let me see, Jeremy, what did we get here? Stop the steal. Jesus says, Lord has um, a live stream coming up, I think. Stop the steal. There you go. Shalom. Okay. Okay, yeah. Let me see the link to this video. Hold on a second. Let me go back here. Let me just go here again, and we can see here. I'll just copy the link while I'm at it, and I'll put it in the description maybe if I can. Okay. So, yeah, sorry about that. This is breaking just now. Rudy Giuliani lays out President Trump's pathway to victory. This is Father Frank Pavone. I really haven't seen this video around. Seems to be the only one. So let me copy the URL address and see if I can put it into the description. Let me see. Wonder if I can do this without doxing myself. Yeah, okay. Put it right in here. I don't even know if I spelled Giuliani right. Let me see. It's one L. Giuliani. Okay. Let me just correct this here. Giuliani. Okay, let's go. That works. All right, it should be. Uh-oh. Wait a moment, then try again. Wait a moment. Come on. I'll just copy this. If it doesn't work, I have to come back. I have to go change. I'll go to the video and change it or something. Anyways, it might have worked. Never know. Just put spaces in the link. Hoping that. No, it's not whatever. Okay. Yeah, here. I'll put it here. If that works, I guess it works. And copy and paste, I guess. Anyway, all right. Thanks for your participation, everyone. God bless everyone, and God bless America. And yeah, they were saying also Canada and Australia had election fraud, probably as well, when they confiscated everyone's guns in Australia, and probably with this guy in Canada too, Trudeau. So yes, that's true. And of course, this will change everything around the world. Of course, This will change elections everywhere around the world. They said that from the beginning. Dead people voting. Yeah, I mean, there's an error, and then there's accidental error on purpose, and you know how that goes. You know, do the right thing. They say, so, do the right thing. O.J. Simpson, do the right thing. Right thing. Anyway, so much for that. I don't want to get controversial here or anything, but I'm just saying. Okay. Yeah. God bless everyone. God bless America, and may the people. I mean the president elect with the most votes win. The most real votes. May he win. That's justice. And the people have to rule. The people have to have. They have to have the rule. So the people aren't ruling, then you have dictator rule. And you know how that goes. That doesn't go very well. You want to go back to the days of kings when the king was corrupt and did whatever he wanted at the expense of the people, killing thousands or millions of people. That happens. It could happen. Could happen here if we don't, um, you know, prosecute this election fraud.